Hey, welcome back to the Bright Side and issue number 451.
Hey.
The sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
There it is. That's the open. That was the open.
We can't.
You guys can't hear it? Hang on.
I hear a little bit.
I can hear it faintly in the background, but I can't really hear it.
That's the crowd noise you hear in the background right now. If you can faintly hear it, I got it turned up.
Yeah.
But the music came in. I
heard a bit of it, but it was like really low, really faint.
Yeah.
Well, tis I, fellas, your follically challenged co-host.
Yeah. That's great.
In the flesh. Now, can I just very, very quickly, guys, because I'm lucky because I get to immediately ask questions about the fantastic Takeover Tuesday. Okay, and it really was good, guys. It was fantastic. I've lived in the UK for a long time, but obviously I'm a Kiwi, but I've lived in the UK a long time, and every now and then, not very often, but every now and then, someone local, British, will use a phrase that I've never heard before. Okay, and it doesn't happen very often anymore, but when they do, I'm always interested. Now, one of you used a phrase that I've never heard before. And I thought it was fantastic, and I'm going to nick it, and I'm going to use it a lot. Now, John.
Yes.
You said I hammed the G&Ts.
He went ham, yeah.
I went
ham?
So
I went ham on the G&Ts.
Yeah.
So does that mean used a lot of?
I went ham on it means that I consumed a lot of it. Yes.
I've never heard that phrase.
You've never heard that?
I absolutely love that phrase. I'm nicking it from now until forever.
People are saying right now, what is this? It's like an acronym, isn't it? It's like,
I don't know. I thought it was
massive
hand in mouth, maybe.
It's something like it's basically you go crazy over it.
Yeah, but
oh man,
had lots of them.
And I asked some other people earlier this evening if they'd heard of it, and they'd never heard of it either. So it's clearly an American phrase, but it's so cool. I am going ham on the phrase "going ham" from now on.
Yeah, we were on a ferry going from the Cape to Nantucket with Joe's hockey team. And there was a kid on the team from Slovakia. He was an exchange student for hockey and came over. And he used that term, but I can't remember how he used it. He used it so incorrectly. He's like,
he heard it, but didn't really know what it meant.
He's like, I'm having ham tonight and we're like, what? The other thing is they were playing a game. Forget what game it was, but you had to recite a phrase. And we're on a ferry, right? So it's wide open. A bunch of people are there, but the hockey team's all together and they're sitting in bench seats across from each other. So like 16 kids sitting across from each other. And Sam, that's the kid's name. He goes, me and my buddy Scott are sitting kind of like in a bar area off to the side and they're behind us. And Sam said something. I can't remember what game they were playing, but he said the phrase and he's like, please put down the thermonuclear detonator. In a or as a Slovakian accent. Everybody on the boat was like,
it's like Speed 2.
Yeah, it was like, and the whole team went, Sam, you can't say that because it was like just with that like Slovakian accent and like the thermonuclear detonator. We're like, oh no. It was wicked funny.
So you're saying Sam went ham is what we're saying.
Yeah, he had ham, Sam with his Slovakian accent. He was like, I'm having ham tonight.
Please bring to me all the ham for dinner.
Right. Yeah.
I do not like green eggs and ham.
Yeah. So funny.
Yeah,
Steve he's like, they play hockey on Nantucket. Actually, yes, a buddy of mine that I coached with and against up in our area ended up moving out there, and we did it was hard. It's very hard to get people to come over to the island to play hockey. All the kids on the island that play hockey have to come over this way, so they have to ferry off. It's a ordeal. right? This is just for youth hockey for these poor kids. Poor kids, they get out of school at noon so that they can have a 5 o'clock game or something. And they have to, so they do in like an hour and a half ferry, get on a bus for 2 hours, play a game, back 2 hours, back on the ferry. And parents rarely get to see their kids play over there, right?
Yeah.
So my buddy was over there and he was like, would you bring the team down? I'm like, yeah. So I talked to the head coach. We're like, sounds awesome. We did 2 years in a row. And the first year we get off the ferry. This is in like November. So it's like way off season. The place is dead. We get off the ferry and they used a fire engine to get our team to the hotel. It was like almost like a parade through town with everybody was there. So there were like 6 people. Like, because there's nobody,
including the man
town.
from Nantucket.
Yeah, exactly. That once was a man. He's still there.
Yeah,
so it's still the once man. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was actually a really fun experience for the kids because they made them feel special because they're the only ones on the island.
Apart from Sam, who after making that comment is still in Guantanamo.
Yeah, exactly. And the ferry sank and we swam home on top of our hockey bags.
Homeland Security.
Yeah,
they turned up and he was never seen again. But yeah, man. So yeah, but yeah, no, I like that phrase. The other phrase I heard the other day, then I wonder if you can help me with this one then, guys. This one, whether this translates the other way. Do you know what is meant by the phrase a Friday car?
A weekend car, like a fun car.
That's what I thought. So a Friday car. So yeah, one of my bosses actually was saying the other day, I think I've bought a Friday car, and that's what I thought. Oh, something for the weekend, sir. Just a car for the weekend. It means a poorly made car, as in it was made last thing on a Friday before they left for the weekend, and so they just chucked it together and then went off. Yeah, no, I never heard that phrase before. No. Yeah,
me neither.
I thought that was, and it can be used, I suppose, for just about anything. Yeah. But yeah, a Friday car. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, see, Rachel's got it. Yeah, a badly made car.
Oh, a badly made car.
Only my Antipodean roots. I'd just not heard these phrases before. But yeah, there we go.
Antipodean roots.
Antipodean. Yeah. The Antipodes. Yeah. The Antipodes, mate.
Okay.
Crikey.
It's like transformative, it's another word I have to
I thought of all the words I've used, I thought that was a straightforward one.
Oh no, it is. I was just making a joke.
Really
but Antipodean, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's the Antipodes. Yeah. That's like Australia, New Zealand, the South Pacific.
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing. Yeah. But I have to say, the Takeover Tuesday was fantastic. That was very, very cool.
Oh,
I'm not sure about the confessing to the driving thing.
The crimes, yeah.
What confessing? There were people, we were held accountable.
Yeah.
Some of it's actually public record.
Paid my dues for that.
Yeah, talking about Guantanamo.
Yeah.
Is there a statute of limitations on
it's all
dangerous driving? And
it's been over 30 years now.
We were
pretty stupid looking back at it. Like, we did some really stupid stuff.
I was thinking, remember the portfolio? It wasn't portfolio day. It was like, or whatever they called it at the school. And you guys were kind of busting on me, but telling Steve Serra, like, you don't know what it's like to drive with DJ. And then I took him for a ride. And it's like, so there's a nighttime show we have of where we display all our artwork and everybody's hanging out. And Steve was in the art with us, and John, and I think Matt and even Christian were there. They came down to hang out with us. They weren't in art, but they're like, you have no idea. You got to go for a ride with them. And I'm like, so Steve's like, no. So I took him for a ride and we came back, and it was literally like that scene from, when Matt Damon took the guy for a ride. Steve got out of the car. He's like, I am never, ever driving with him again.
Were you guys delivering cars then?
My father sold cars, and so they would transfer cars between dealerships. And it
still goes on now. They use old men.
Yeah, but one of my jobs
they use young kids.
What, you mean you're still doing it?
No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm an old man. I'm still doing it. But yeah, I would drive the cars between. You drive one car to one dealership, pick one up, and drive it back. And
there you go. Have you gone to the local dealerships?
I know,
you have experience.
Yeah. Hey, I did this, 40 years ago, and I only smashed up 9 cars.
Yeah,
exactly. So if you're looking for somebody,
to be fair, it was 18 trips, so I'm 50%.
Yeah.
You sort of go in and there'll be a wanted poster on the wall. Do not let this man behind the wheel. But what was the distance between the dealerships then? I mean, again, bearing in mind,
varied.
Well, it varied. Yeah, for instance, I drove from Massachusetts all the way up to almost the Caribou, Maine, which is like the Canadian border. It was an 8-hour.
I didn't do that one.
I did that with my now ex-wife. We did that drive, and it was 8 hours up. You pick up a car and drive 8 hours back. Yeah.
But who's buying that car then with all that mileage on it? Who's going?
Oh, it's not that bad.
There's only an extra 100 miles.
Well, if it's a used car, it would
miles maybe.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, if it's a used car, it wouldn't even be noticeable. It'd be negligible. If it's a brand new car, you get it with like 200 miles on it,
200 or 300 miles on it.
Man, I get funny if I get a brand new car and it's got 5 miles on it.
Yeah, with more than 8 miles on it.
Yeah,
I'm driving this damn thing.
Yeah.
Well, we would have driven it backwards for you.
I don't know if that's still the practice.
They still do that, John.
They still do that. Yep. Well, yeah, you would know. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd still do it. It's usually older, I said, older retired men, and they'd go out in a car. Like you see them come back to the dealerships, and like all these cars come back, but they'll go out in a van or whatever, and they'll pick up cars. It depends on. Because it's when you go to buy a car, you might not have all the options you want, but they just put it in the database and they'll find it wherever.
Wherever it is,
I've got one here, but now you're negotiating with that dealership too, because that dealership's like, we'll let that dealership have it for this price. So, but that's what we would do, and we only did it because of John's dad.
I would get them to help out, but I did a lot of trips that was just myself or one other.
Well, it only takes 2 people.
You drive up in one car, and then you drive. You'd each drive back separately. So.
Would you ever, pull over and see, Rutger Hauer trying to get a lift?
No.
We did one, John, once. I remember it was Mustangs, and we were really excited. There was one where we did new Mustangs.
I got to drive some cool cars doing that. I drove like a Corvette, which I had never driven before. And, because I did a lot of odd jobs around the dealership because, like I said, my dad worked there. So I would wash the new cars before they were delivered. And, I did lots of different things. So I got to drive them around and gas them up and do stuff like that. So it's kind of
roll them, flip them.
Roll them, flip them, smash them up in Connecticut.
Rear end people with them, it's all good.
Oh, that was great. That was great. There was
you smash up 9 cars one time, and it just follows you forever.
There was another one. I forget what the other one was. I was telling somebody the other day about your driving proclivities, and when you hit the fire hydrant with the LTD.
That was a little different. That was different. Eddie Buckley was with me there.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah, it was Eddie Buckley. And
no. Eddie Buckley, we knocked him out with that Bulgarian whatever arm wrestling. It was Eddie.
Oh, it was Buckley. Yeah.
Boom. Busted his nose, knocked him right off the back of the chair. It was Eddie in shop.
He was in the car with me when that happened, and he was like, if the cops come and I'm in the car, my mother's going to kill me. And he just got out of the car and ran off.
Yeah.
And left me there. I was like,
that one wasn't your fault. The fire hydrant ran out into the middle of the road.
Oh, it was absolutely my fault.
I am known to do that.
I had gone ham on the G&Ts.
Yeah.
I love that phrase.
And the accelerator.
Yeah, and the accelerator.
LTDs don't handle like they used to.
I still own that fire hydrant, I believe.
Yeah. That was Partridge Street, wasn't it?
I paid a lot of money for that.
Was that Partridge?
Whatever street Buckley lived on. It was kind of right by his house. That's why he just got out of the car and ran home.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
Misspent youth. Misspent youth.
It wasn't misspent. It was spent.
It was spent. It was expensive.
Spent well. Spent well.
Those cars were tanks back then, so you could
LTD,
you could do some damage to that thing and just drive away,
Yeah. So. Well, the Mustang, when we talk about the story in the Takeover Tuesday, you had just gotten that back. Didn't you just get it painted or something? And it had just come back? You were all excited that day?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Something like that. But I got some other stuff here from, speaking of which, I had a little fun with some sounders. You want to Everybody put your coffee down. Don't put anything in your mouth.
Oh, are they car crashes?
Nuh-uh. How about this one, John?
She fell onto Dick. Oh, geez. Sorry, Mike.
Here's the. I think this is the full version.
I think she does because of the way she
knows she pulled the
kind of
trigger.
She fell on
Right?
to Dick.
Right. But of course, she realizes she pulled the trigger, but I don't think she realizes the magnitude.
Listen to me.
That was
I'm like,
Titans. Was that Titans we were talking about?
we were talking. Yeah, and it was like, that was the character's name. You know, Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
And you're like, she fell, and like you start, but you hear me in that clip, and I'm like, she got.
I could hear myself as I was saying it, thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is going to be a sounder."
Exactly. Here's another good one.
Stroking his bald cat. I don't know what that was in reference to. Stroking his bald cat. It really could only be that. It couldn't be anything else.
Yeah, I think I almost remember the frame. We were talking about a comic, and he was petting the cat, and you're like stroking.
It had to be Saga or something.
Stroking his bald cat.
Even more new phrases.
Yeah.
Right. And then here's
Oh,
the one. It's like he just messed the phrase up.
He was rode wet and put away hard.
Oh yeah.
He was rode wet and put away hard.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Those were the days. It's great
when
when everything you've ever said was recorded and can be played back and used.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
Oh my.
That was another sounder we had. Oh God.
'Cause those were sounders that he made, and they came back often.
Oh yeah. I think that's what it was. The drinking. Whenever I played one of those, you'd have
Probably I had to
drink.
take a drink.
I think
yeah.
that the whole show. I'm like,
He was rode wet and put away hard.
he's like, whoop. Here we go.
yeah, man.
I think that one I actually called you on. I just burst out laughing. I go, I think you got that backwards.
Yeah, I think I said that wrong.
Oh God, so good.
I think she does because of the she fell onto Dick.
It's so great when you isolate it.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
You should put a warning label on this episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mike,
yeah.
Mike's
Mikey
kids are running.
Strom there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're running from the room.
there we go. Is that the one? You know what that is?
No. I don't remember that.
Steve? Can you hear it?
A little bit of Terminator.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yep.
music.
There we go.
Do you know what? I think that is some of the most underrated music in terms of theme.
Yeah.
of just
Captain
about
AC3
any
had
film.
it. Terminator. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only hear the slight thing, but it Brad Friedel's music in those is awesome. I mean, that almost rivals some of John Williams and stuff. I think that score is fantastic. You know
that right there.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Talking of music, did we? Do you have a? So we were talking, weren't we, in the week or
During the
text
week? Yeah.
About theme tunes from our 80 things, because we were talking last week about vehicles. And by the way, I've spent the week thinking of more and more vehicles just coming to me. Yeah, the Lotus Esprit from For Your Eyes Only. You know the white Lotus, and of course BJ and the Bear and the truck.
God, yeah.
Do you know what? I'm just oh my God, and that just occurred to me out of nowhere.
That's what I want to drive.
Yeah, man, it's so cool. So cool.
Bear's
Just one man and his monkey.
You know, yeah.
But yeah, so and I was listening to so much so has this been preoccupying my time that I downloaded on Apple Music a like an 80s TV show album of all the themes, and of course the first one on was Airwolf, and that's just such a cool theme.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you sent us.
You know what? I think that might. Now we can't do them and we can't play them. You get copyright flagged. Kevin Smith was talking on this week's Fat Man Beyond about they started singing the Greatest American Heroes, believe it or not, and they got copyright flagged.
They got copyright flagged.
Oh, really? I was just going to say that one, Greatest American Hero. Some of that were actual
That's a great
songs.
theme. Yeah, that was a great theme song.
Yeah.
Don't sing it.
I mean, the Fall Guy.
Yeah. Oh, Fall Guy was up there with like Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
And then obviously they
And the
duplicated
Fall Guys
it.
truck even, as
Yeah.
far as vehicles.
Yeah, I said that last week. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, when the movie came out, the recent movie Fall Guy, they kind of redid
they
the song
changed
at the
it.
end.
Yeah, they changed it a bit. But,
Yeah.
It was but I think Airwolf might be my favorite, but I appreciate the Dukes of Hazzard's great as well. I mean, the Good Old Boys, it's just so good.
Oh yeah.
But you had a story about that, Deej, did you?
Oh my God.
It was Chips that you had a story about, wasn't it?
It was
Was it
Chips.
Oh, sorry.
Chips that went into Dukes of Hazzard, but it was the Dukes of Hazzard with a horn. And we used to this is how good with friends like this, you don't need enemies. On my neighborhood, I lived on a dead-end street. John knows it was a cul-de-sac. And growing up, I had Eddie, Robbie. They're 3 years older than me, and then this another buddy of mine, Brian, who's a year older than me. So I was the youngest. And let's just say I was like 9, right? So they're like 12. Brian's 10. And summertime, we had nothing else to do. We just went out and played because you're all locked out of your house. So we played this game. It was called Chase. That was the name of the game. You want to play Chase? Let's play Chase. All right. Well, Chase was basically kill a guy on bikes. The only difference is it was only me. Like those 3 would chase me around the circle, the streets, the woods, the pass, and literally try to knock me off my bike. That was the goal. So much so that like after a couple of weeks of this, I'm like, I need help. And my grandmother used to work at Calvert's folding shirts, and she had these pieces of cardboard that you put inside. And so I used to get stacks of them to draw on. Well, I made kind of hip protectors because I was getting so much road rash on my hips, and I taped them.
I thought you were going to say she grabbed a bike and played rain interference for you.
But anyways, it got bad. And after a little while of this, I needed to put some rules in place because they were just coming at me. They're ghost riding their bike into the side of me, no warning. So I'd be like, all right, guys, you can't touch me if I'm singing the theme song to Chips.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm riding my bike around the circle, and they're
Helping out Chips, huh?
yeah, like, and I'm riding around the circle, and they're circling me like piranha looking for food. And they could attack when I went, and the bikes come flying at me, trying to knock me off my bike, dump me in the street. One day they actually trapped me into the woods, try to get me to ride over this hidden hole that had the punji sticks in it from Rambo. Almost killed me. They thought it was funny. They whittled them and everything because you could do that back in the 70s.
It's a different time.
Yeah, that seems dangerous.
Yeah, so you went home with some wood stuck in you.
Yeah, hey. And that's not a euphemism.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I mean, to be honest, John, you say that was dangerous.
Anyway.
Yeah, John, DJ's grandmother's still down there.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
The bike's still there.
No, I won't say it. I was gonna just really take
no
it.
Wood in there. No.
Yeah, I was gonna take it to the next level, but I'll just leave it
Not
alone.
with my grandma.
Yeah,
not with Nana.
I'll leave it. Leave that
Put
be.
your teeth back in.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Anywho, yeah,
So,
man, you know what it is? It's daylight savings, guys. We're a bit more anarchic because it's
A little jumpy.
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Loopy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve's, it's still early in the day for him. How many weeks you got like this? Just 1 or 2?
3.
3 weeks, really?
Ours doesn't change until the last Sunday of the month. So we've got 3 shows, including this one. I've got 2 more.
Yeah.
9 p.m.
I thought
start.
we were the only backward country that still did that, but I guess, I guess others do it too.
Yeah, it's the war, though, isn't it? It was the war. That's when they did it to increase production time.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It helped production. So it was during the wartime that they did it. So yeah. Now what I don't know, I think it was Second World War, but it might have been the first. But yeah, it gave more time for production. We still do it here. But what I'm surprised. So did it happen on Monday then? Or was it Sunday?
It happened Saturday night going into
Sunday.
Sunday.
Right,
yeah,
fine.
so,
Okay, that's the same as it is here. Yeah.
Right.
But it just seems really early for you guys. We've never done 3 early shows in a row.
Yeah, it actually took me by surprise. Like I didn't, of course, I don't live with the rest of the world anymore. I really kind of barely leave my house. But I used to know more when that stuff happened, but it kind of took me by surprise.
If I hadn't listened to Takeover Tuesday this morning, fellas, you'd still be like, "Where's Steve?"
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's
Texting
true.
you like, hey, where you at?
Yeah, man. I would have
Well,
missed it. It was just because I happened to hear you guys say it. I'm like, oh my God, great news.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. I got your text this morning before I
Mm.
obviously I actually did listen back to the Takeover Tuesday because I was like, it's just so much fun.
I used to say I don't
listening to
remember
John.
talking about it.
Me neither until I was
That's
like,
right,
oh yeah,
beginning.
that's it. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
No, it
that's
was-
where Steve got it from.
Yeah.
All right.
'Cause I was like, did we talk about daylight savings?
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
don't know.
"No," but
Yeah.
Yeah.
we did.
Oh man, no, it was good, but it was handy because, as I said, it means 3 shows. This is the first one,
That's
so
nice.
2
yeah.
more of a 9 p.m. start. When we go back to 10 p.m., man, I'm going to be.
Yeah, you're really going to be knackered. After
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Knackered.
exactly that.
Yeah.
Sounds funny when an American says
I
it.
mean, you're not the only one that can steal phrases, Steve.
Yeah,
Right.
man. Hey, you go for it. You go for it.
I can nick it too. So,
Yeah, nick it too. Nick it. Oh, look at this. We're going to make Anglophiles of you both yet.
that's it.
There we go.
At
was
some point, we'll try and get you to say the word. I can say it's not a swear word here. Please, no one panic.
Oh
The
no,
word
don't do the one that's a real swear word here.
Which
no,
one?
the bollocks.
Bollocks.
Oh,
It just
bollocks.
means balls,
It's
right?
not
And
really a
it's not a
here
swear word.
either. Yeah,
It's not
But
here.
Americans can't say it.
we can't
That's
say
the
it
other
correctly.
one.
Yeah.
We can say it, but
Yeah, just not,
Yeah.
not properly.
Yeah, we're not allowed to say it's like over there. That's like us saying like crap.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's not a swear
over
word.
here.
I mean, you
Yeah,
can-
for you guys,
only
it's
the
not a
most
swear.
sensitive of souls would have a problem with that word here. You wouldn't get away with it in a primary school, but you're okay,
Yeah.
everywhere else in polite society.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, that is a word that Americans can't say properly.
There you go.
So yeah, but anyway,
No, what I was going to say, we were talking about before the show. I was going to say about John. Like John didn't even know when we started
yeah,
the
it's great.
Yesterday?
Takeover Tuesday.
yeah, like I had no idea we
Yeah.
were recording. I thought we
Right.
were just shooting the crap, but we're talking about the chat show, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know, blah 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 blah.
Right, and he's
And
all
then-
loosey
And then you
goosey.
said something, and I was like, are we recording?
Yeah, like 20 minutes in, he goes, "Are we recording?" I was like, "Oh my god, yeah!" And I even said it when I was like, "All right, we'll go right from here." And we were like,
I
"Oh,
wasn't
okay."
even, yeah.
Right, but it was like he goes, "I was waiting for this is Takeover Tuesday." I was like,
Yeah, I
"So
was
you know
waiting
how
for-
much John listens to Takeover?"
I was gonna say,
Tuesdays?
you don't. This is the first time you haven't
Oh,
asked
yeah.
me if I listen to Takeover Tuesday,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's like, no, that's
which
how
I
they
actually
all
did
pretty
listen
much
back
start.
to a bit this morning, just so I could see when we actually started.
Right.
I didn't know what was recorded and what wasn't.
Anything incriminating?
Yeah, I was like, did I
Um,
say anything or
No.
Shall we say hi to everyone in the chat? Should we quickly do that?
Yeah.
Say hi to everyone. 'cause
Yeah,
we've got a fair
let's
few
do
in. So Johnny Speakers was in today, and again, guys, congratulating
Nice.
you on the Takeover Tuesday.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, so he was in. TSG was in earlier. I haven't seen him for a bit. But if he's still in, hi TSG, local boy as always. Steve Hatt was, and I think still is, in the chat. Mikey was in, probably running for the hills as we
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
Either that or being, kicked out of the house by his wife for
Yeah.
for being friendly towards such rudity.
degenerates?
Yeah, exactly that. Rach is in. Hi, Rach. She is in. Captain is in. Let's see. They were talking about things. PF Productions is in. Hey, PF Productions. Hey, guys. I saw someone new. Jordan's in. Hey, Jordan. Dom's in. Bonsoir. Yeah, Epicenter Home Theater is in.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a new one. Yep.
Yeah, maybe a new one. Yeah. So, hi, yeah, it says greetings, friends. So there we go. Yeah, that's very,
Yeah.
very formal. But yes, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Salutations.
Yeah.
And yes, greetings and salutations. Yeah, and that's all the people in there, but that's nowhere near the number. So yeah, there's others in there. So if you are listening for the first time or for the 100th time, whatever issue we're up to now,
Yeah.
then feel free to say hi, and we will be friendly as we can be to you.
Yeah. Did we? I thought we picked up. Let me hang on a second here. Oh,
and C Big, yeah, hey C Big, good to see you again. He's in as well. Just dropped in, says I'm in. All right, excellent, excellent.
we also have. I wanted to say I noticed Paul Hurt isn't in the chat. He was in the Patreon last week, and he had a pretty extensive surgery yesterday, and he was so he told us about it at the end of the chat last week, and he's like, "Don't see me in the chat. Things didn't go well."
He had some pictures
but
on Blue Sky, I think, yesterday. I think
yeah,
that's
so
where I
he
followed.
emailed me yesterday. I talked to him yesterday, and he's doing very well. He just briefly was basically saying, "Wow, I can't believe I feel this good."
Yeah.
So
I was a bit worried there when John said, as of yesterday, he was sending pictures of the blue sky. I was a little bit concerned as to what he was doing up there. And but
Yeah.
no, sounds good. Okay, good. He's all right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
Get well soon,
Yeah.
Paul.
So
Yeah.
according to his email, he's doing well. He's probably listening. He said he'd be listening from the hospital. So,
Okay, man.
which is good for him. So
Yeah, get well soon, Paul. Yeah, absolutely. Stay away from the light. Don't go towards the
Yeah.
light. All right. Or the blue sky.
So we did pick up a new patron last week. John Durante became a member with a small box of popcorn.
Awesome.
That happened, I think, last Wednesday or Thursday. I think I got the message.
Thank you.
So
Nice.
thanks,
Yeah.
John. Yeah, we're like cranking away. Thank you, everybody. Thanks. I mean, we speak and they respond. Look at that.
Look at that.
Who knew, John?
If we only started asking,
I
in
told you
2018.
so long ago.
it's only been 7 years.
Yeah, I told you a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you sure
We
did.
could all be right about now. We could have all been sitting on a beach earning 20%.
That's right.
20%. Oh, we still could be. It's just 20% of the zero is.
That's true. Yeah.
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 So-
It's just the beach is the kind of irradiated wasteland
Yeah.
rather than the Caribbean, not the Caribbean.
It's the Caribbean, not the Caribbean. Yep. Yeah. So he became a member on March 5th.
Oh,
So,
Ariel's
yeah.
just dropped in via X
Yep.
as well. Hey, Ariel. Hey, buddy. Yeah.
So-
Alrighty. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the patrons. I will be doing a Patreon chat after this. I haven't put it out. I'm going to put it out shortly. I'll put it in the patron chat in a little bit once we get going. It's just easy for me to pop in, but I'll be doing a Patreon chat after this. Patreon. Steve, you going to join us since it's a little early or no?
Man, I was looking forward to a little bit of extra sleep.
But you
okay.
might want to go to bed at 11.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. There you
Right,
go.
God.
No,
That's it.
that's fine.
I could give it. No, I'll drop in
It's
for.
DJ cracking the
15
whip,
minutes.
man. Cracking
Yeah,
the
man, I
whip.
know what I'm being told.
He had
like-
all the energy.
He's like, you haven't been on Takeover Tuesday yet? Guess what?
Here it is.
In 2 hours, you're gonna
Nothing like a
record.
bit of passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I got shows to make, we got shows to do.
No, I'll drop in for a few minutes. Yeah, man, I'm happy to do that. It'd be nice to do. Haven't done one for ages. The last time I dropped into one of those was in the cinema room.
Yeah.
Remember, I dropped in. Yeah, I was actually just
Yeah,
sat
that's
in there. I
right.
think you
That was
guys
a
were
while
just-
ago. I think I was in mine
Yeah.
too.
Mm.
Back then, I was in mine at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, when we first
Yeah,
started.
that was
it,
the last time. Yeah, because that's one when a certain person who's not in the chat didn't have their microphone on.
Yeah, chatting
Remember?
away. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. I remember. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Anything else?
Well, yeah. So did you have? So what was your favorite theme then of the '80s things? Just so we know. I know what my one is. As I said, I reckon I'd have The Greatest American Hero. I think I might have to have that if I don't have Airwolf, just because I loved that show, and it was great. But what are you guys going for? Is it Dukes of Hazzard again, or are you going to go for?
It's probably out of all of the ones we've mentioned now. For me, probably Fall Guy.
Yeah. Fall Guy or
yeah.
Dukes.
Unknown
but
Stuntman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked, like I said, I mentioned earlier in the week, A-Team, but that's more of a monologue than a song necessarily.
Yeah.
But I love the opening to A-Team.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, the music was great. Are these all Glenn A. Larson shows? Or was
I
that
believe
just
they-
the 18?
Well, I know the Fall
Probably.
Guy was as well. If I'm
Yeah.
Yeah. So he must
Chips
have had
Chips probably was too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty incredible stuff.
Airwolf.
Yeah, I see Airwolf. I mean, I love the tune to that.
He did he was like the Dick Wolf of the 80s,
Yeah.
I think you might have another sounder there, Deej.
Yeah,
Dick Wolf.
there we go. Yeah, at least he didn't get it backwards.
Yeah.
He was like
It was
the
Wolf
wolves.
Dick-
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't going to finish it, but there you go.
Hey.
No, the other one, Cheers. We were older. That wasn't really
Cheers.
a kids.
Yeah, Cheers is a great
was-
theme.
But
Yeah,
you're
Cheers
not
was-
allowed Cheers, guys. You're not allowed Cheers because your Boston connection. It's not allowed. Come on.
Yeah, but
guys.
it's still a national. That was an international
I mean, that was
show,
a
really.
radio hit.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
The Bull and Finch. Is
Bull
it
and
the
Finch
Bull
Bugs,
Bull
yeah.
and
Bull and
Finch?
Finch,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen it. I didn't go into it. I saw it, but we
I've
didn't.
only seen it from the. I've only walked past it as well. I've never been inside. But
Hmm.
I've been in multiple times, very recently, as a matter of fact, too. It's
But it's
yeah,
not the
they
same inside. I mean, obviously
Oh
they
God,
show
no,
areas.
no,
No,
it's
it's
not even
not.
close. Not even
Oh,
close.
right.
They have a mock-up version of it where they actually did film the finale, or they were there for the finale after remember the last episode. Then they went right to the special afterwards.
Yeah,
and they were
they
all
had the
hanging out
special.
there. But they have a
Oh.
mock-up version of Cheers in there, and it's like it's a really small version of the bar, and it's like it's not even close. You could kind of tell, like if you've seen the show, you'd be like, I see what they're trying to do here, but this ain't it.
right.
You know,
Actually,
but-
Captain says in the chat, Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, I say that's. I
Yeah.
just saw that. That's
Hill
another
Street
great one.
Blues was good.
That was Stephen
Cag-
Bochco, though, right? I think Stephen Bochco did Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, Cagney
Yeah.
and Lacey is good as well. If we're going cop shows, Cagney and Lacey was really good.
Yep.
We like that one. That was on this.
Happy
You didn't
Days.
really go crazy. Yeah, I say this man. you can
Happy
go
Days,
crazy with
Sunday,
theme songs.
Monday,
Yeah.
happy. Yep, you got that. Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, that was
Mork
quite
and
a-
Mindy was a spin-off of all of those.
Yeah, because he was a character.
Mork
in Happy
was-
Days,
He
wasn't
was.
Yeah,
A,
he
they were
was.
both spin-offs from Happy Days. Yeah. Laverne
Yeah.
and Shirley.
Mork was on, Happy Days, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
I know. It's
Isn't
like,
it?
how did
Like-
that happen?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, well, once you jump a shark, what are you going to do? You got to bring in an
True.
alien, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, how about that? Like, Happy Days is like, that's they've defined that. It's called jumping the shark now. Once
Right.
a show does
Yeah.
something, it's what Happy
a
Days did.
cultural. Yep.
And it's like, okay, when you've gone too far, you jump the shark. What's that mean? Well, go watch Happy Days. You'll find
Yeah. Oh, Jack. Oh, Jack.
What do you
Okay.
say?
Since when did we start early?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was going to catch someone out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daylight Savings,
BJ
Jack.
BJ
Sorry.
and the
I mean,
Bear was a
hello.
great open.
Yeah.
Great
yeah.
song. That was what was it? I know the song too. It was at Jackson Brown.
Think,
I
don't
forget.
remember.
But yeah, it was like, yeah.
Man, I watched the opening to that earlier on this evening, and I sent it to my brother because we used to watch
BJ
it
and the
in
Bear?
New Zealand. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I just sent to him. So remember this, and he's like, "Oh, forgot."
It was BJ and the Bear, and then Love Boat,
Yeah.
and then Fantasy Island. That
Fantasy
was
Island.
Saturday night, man.
Yeah.
Is he playing?
Oh,
Is he
yeah.
playing?
Yeah. And if you're at your grandparents' house like I was or whatever, it was Lawrence Welk,
Oh,
BJ and the Bear, Lawrence Welk at 7, BJ and the
Walton.
Bear, and then you go all the way through.
I just remember every Saturday night we'd be watching those shows in the kitchen, rolling meatballs, man. Me and my dad and my sister and my stepmother. Yeah,
See,
that's not a
this is-
euphemism. We were actually
I
rolling
did-
meatballs.
I was being good. I was being good.
Nothing like family time at the Sacconis.
Yeah. No, that was actually real meatballs.
Yeah. Where's DJ? He won't come out of his room. He's doing Bavarian arm wrestling. And where's John? He's in his room. He's rolling meatballs.
Rolling meatballs.
DJ's in the other room stuffing the cannoli. Steve looks like a stop sign.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is funny.
Oh,
So,
all right.
yeah, I was gonna say-
Do we want to
not
do
what I
a
was
show?
gonna say. Yeah,
I mean,
come on. It's just fun to
only-
reminisce.
It's only been an hour, but
It's
you know.
it's only been an hour. All right. What do you want to start with? Who wants to go
Go for
first?
it. Go for it. I don't mind. Whatever.
You want to open or close with? Let's close with the big one.
Oh,
what
okay.
the one we've all seen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll close with
makes
that
sense.
one.
I'm curious to see what you guys make of that.
Oh, I got a whole story to go with
Okay,
it.
I have some thoughts as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
think there might be some disagreement on the bus bench on this one.
maybe I don't know.
Maybe not. You don't know.
Don't go
I
too
said
high,
I had a
guys. People-
story. I didn't know what kind of story it is. I didn't tell you.
Horror story.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, so you take your pick. I'm. If you're gonna do mine first, then do the one from ages ago. So I can So I
Yeah,
can
get the older ones out of there. Right?
Where'd it go?
yeah.
Where'd it
'cause
go? Right here.
talk-
That one?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, let's get this.
All
out of the way.
right.
It's the second
All right.
one of the.
Well, hey, this home theater show that's all about the experiences. Here we go. We're about to have our first experience. It's 6:00. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Okie dokie then. So this then is The Eternals on 4K UHD disc, which I bought when it came out last year sometime. Was it, or was it even longer?
Might have been 2 years ago at this
Yeah,
point.
you know what? It might have been. I bought it when it came out, and I had not. I had seen the film on Disney Plus when it landed on there. Of course, back when it used to land on Disney Plus before it hit disc.
Right.
And I'd had a really bad experience with the Disney Plus stream. It was strobing and really weird, and it must have been my internet connection. But I had a terrible time watching the Disney Plus stream, and I remember not enjoying the film at all. So after my first watch, I thought this is the nadir of Disney movies, Marvel movies. This is it. It's as bad as it's going to get. That's all there is to it, and I really didn't enjoy it. So I bought the disc when it came out, as I am wont to do, and never watched it. You know, literally put it in the cardboard sleeve onto the shelf and forgot all about it. And really, guys, I honestly don't think I would have ever gone back and seen it again, but for Captain America: Brave New World. So having been and seen that, of course, the whole ending of that, or one of the main sequences of that, should I say, not the ending, one of the main sequences is them going back to Tiamat, finally remembering that this bloody great big celestial is sticking out of the earth in the Indian Ocean. And so having seen Brave New World and really enjoyed it, that spun off into seeing Falcon and the Winter Soldier again, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And then I went back and I thought, you know what? Now's my chance to watch this. And for the first time in 4K, as I say, as in on disc. So 4K disc, Dolby Atmos. The movie, second time round, was actually transformative. No, it was actually really good. I did enjoy it much more the second time, actually. I still don't love it. I think it's an odd film, been made in a weird kind of way, and far too many characters, way too many characters. But I did enjoy it more because I could follow it easier. I wasn't annoyed about any strobing or any home theater issues, and actually it's not too bad. And I could follow the story, as I say, and I got to the end, and apart from the dreadful mid-credits sort of scene. With one Mr. Harry Styles.
Oh yeah, I was like, I don't even remember what it was.
Oh, it's awful.
Star Fox, man.
Yeah. Oh man, I'd have rather had the Nintendo version. The rabbit or whatever it was, or the actual fox. I'd have rather had that than Harry Styles. So apart from that, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and I did like the fact that it starts in London. It starts in Camden, where I was in December. And at the Natural History Museum, where I was in December as well. So that was quite fun. But there it is. And I'd forgotten that's where it began. So the film was all right. Way better than I remembered it. And so that was good. So then we get to the home theater experience. Now, this is night and day over the Disney Plus version in terms of how I saw it initially. The video on it's really good. Actually, really good. And have you guys seen the 4K disc of this?
Oh, yeah.
No, I saw this in theaters. I saw this in theaters. I haven't seen it since. I do own it, but I haven't watched it.
Okay, it'll be worth giving it a revisit, John. And what these you would have done almost certainly, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so I thought it was really good, really very sharp, beautifully colored, and of course, one of the narrative problems with the movie is all the different places they go and all the different characters. But that plays to the strengths of home cinema and certainly the video, because, of course, all these different areas are very, very colorful, very detailed, and they look great. And again, unlike the strobing I had before, all the black levels are perfect. There's no issues with any of that. It looked great. And especially the standout sequence for me is in the Amazon. So the fight sequence in the Amazon was like, wow, okay, this looks really good. And the detail on the creatures and all the rest of it. I could have told you what they were called when I watched this about a month ago, but I can't remember now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember any of this even happening. That's how much I remember.
But so the Amazon fight's quite good, and it looked really nice. And I remember thinking, okay, yeah, that's really, really three-dimensional. And the audio, I think, is very good as well. It is absolutely not the deepest bass that we've encountered with other movies, and we always cite Lucy and Furiosa, and we cite Dune 1 and 2. It never goes that deep. But as far as Disney MCU movies go, I thought it was solid. You know, the big things when they land sound like they're heavy. You get thuds and thumps from the subs, but it's never, you know, wall rattling. You know, I don't remember ever getting, you know, a punch in the stomach or really feeling the, you know, the floor vibrating or anything like that. But it's still really good, and it suited the film well, and I did really enjoy it. And whenever oh God, I don't know what the main Celestial's called. I can't remember. I should know. But whenever that talked, of course, it comes from all the different speakers, which I thought sounded great. And it gave it really does give a sense of scale to this ginormous being and the little person in front. So that was nice, and it worked well. So overall, I did enjoy this. I had a much better time with it second time round. And and again, John, you've got the disc, and
I do. I need to watch it. Yeah, I have the time.
So, I have the time.
Although I say that, and every single week I get to Monday thinking, you know, I haven't watched anything to talk about on the show this week.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what I do with all my time, but I do have some.
So we have the time and we have the technology.
Rolling meatballs, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, man. Not the Bavarian arm wrestling.
Yeah.
So if you've got it there, it's worth looking, you know, seeing it again, I would say. And I think you'd be impressed with what it does. This is good. I recommend this. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, everything, like you said, I really enjoyed it more at home than I did in the theater. I don't know if it was because the length of it, and you're sitting in a theater that's not as comfortable as home. And I don't know, maybe, and it also could have been like I was really excited. I remember being really excited for this. And so there was that little bit of a letdown when you're at the like, oh my God, this is long. And you're like, what's going on here? Still, I know I still enjoyed it in the theater, but just maybe not as much as I expected. But then, of course, like you said, Steve, you get it home because we have to. You know, you've got all the other movies in the MCU, so you might as well keep on going. And yeah, it's like the scope of it. It's weird to say, but it was like the scope of the entire movie, of like you said, the way it was shot, some of the scenes. There's a lot. It basically opened up the MCU to so much more, right? Just the story itself. It made like the whole Thanos thing seem small. It's like the entire idea of all this. But then again, all the scenes they were shooting, those were large. And for one reason or another, it played better at home on my smaller screen than it did in the giant screen in the theater. I don't know if it's maybe, like I said, more comfortable or whatever, but and then the sound, I thought, like you said, it was way more enveloping. I was more engaged, and it just was a lot more fun. And then you got to pay attention a little bit more because it's enhanced by the experience. So, yeah, definitely. I think, John, you would like it if you tried it again at home.
Yeah.
But
I'm actually thinking about doing a whole MCU rewatch, you know, right from the beginning. So we'll see. That's
slightly longer than Lord of the Rings.
Just a bit, but not really. Not too much.
I know. You got 3 movies.
I can get 7 or 8 movies in
right
in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was contemplating actually starting this past week, and then I didn't get.
You could do one a day, and it would take you over a month. It's like
there's quite a bit, and I don't know if I would throw the. I don't know if I would throw the series in there, or if I would.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be maybe
insane.
Too much, but.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah,
I do have to find a job eventually. I can't sit around watching the MCU for the rest of my life.
Well, there's the job: product testing for Disney.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Travis in the chat: Eternals is the movie that put me over the edge to move from Plex to Kaleidoscape. And I've still never seen it.
Well,
I'm curious how that movie pushed him over.
I
don't know how that movie pushed him over the edge. I'd like to.
I mean, I wouldn't have gone back to it had it not been for Brave New World. I genuinely would never have seen this. Again, I would have been like, look, I didn't enjoy it. I've bought the thing, but I don't need to see it. Again, Shape of Water special, you know, it would have just never found its way to the top of the viewing pile. But then having had Brave New World give Tiamat a bit more refresh it in my mind, I'm thinking, right, how did that happen again? Oh, okay, I'll watch Eternals. I think it benefits from a second viewing, knowing where it's going. I think the scope of it is so huge. I mean, it's telling us tale from before time began, and so the scale is so giant, and it zips around to 20,000 years BC, 10,000 years BC, modern day. Now it's Australia. Now it's the Amazon. The scope was so ridiculous that
Right.
I think first time round, it's almost disorientating. It's a little bit of sensory overload to a certain extent. And I think so second time round, when you know where it is, and with a period of months in between, if not years, I think you can come to it then thinking, okay, I know where it starts and I know where it ends. And so threading the needle all the way in the narrative kind of pathway it leads you on is then a lot easier to follow. And I think you're more forgiving of it then as well. Certainly I was. And I think that's why I enjoyed it more. I could enjoy kind of the journey rather than be disorientated by now where the bloody hell are we?
Yeah.
So I thought it was good.
I think that this could play out like Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron of the movies was we didn't really get that. But then as the MCU played out and we get to Infinity War and Endgame, Ultron turned out to be, had a lot more info in it than we realized. Maybe they wrote it that, after the fact. But the same with this. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. And it's,
Well, I think that was some of the frustration after the fact, is that it started to open up things that just never got realized. Like they never went anywhere,
with Eternals, you mean?
With the Eternals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until Brave New World, we thought it was just completely forgotten, and it's, there's been multiple movies and shows since this that didn't pick up any of these threads. So, so it'll be interesting to see if this actually goes anywhere.
Well, there's a major thread. I mean, the very end credit scene, which I won't spoil in case people haven't seen it, but a very end credit
Travis.
Scene where
Travis
we get a voiceover. Quite exactly.
We
get a
never
voiceover at the end, which of a character that we may never see, and many of us, me included, are absolutely jonesy to see that, to watch the third film out of my collective consciousness.
It's Travis explained in the chat.
I saw I saw what
he's like, I was trying to watch it on a Shield via Plex, but then there was a bug where it wouldn't play anything with True HD soundtrack. Couldn't get more than 5 minutes in, so he ordered Kaleidoscape the next day. That's it. Cha-ching. So all right, let's see.
It's decent. That was good. I'd recommend that.
Jack Lee, I just realized it's funny. So Jack Lee says in the chat, since when did we start early?
We've covered that.
He didn't do a time change.
He
didn't do the time change. But then what I thought was
he
funny,
figured it out after the fact.
They all got it. Steve At's like 38 minutes in. Captain AC3 says, love the opening 15 minutes. I don't know if he meant of our show or of Eternals. So, but what's like, but Steve Ad also said,
you haven't missed anything.
You can't say you missed a lot. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. He's the one who's always telling us when we start late.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say you missed a lot.
Oh, God, the Captain's seen the sequel. He's seen the sequel, Externals.
That's right.
We've had internals, Eternals, and now externals.
The externals.
That's funny. All right, John, what did you have? Just that one?
I just have that, which will be relatively quick, I think.
All right, let me see.
At least as far as we'll get to it when you put it up. But
there we go.
In the meantime, this was Heretic. I finally caught up with.
You're just going, okay.
Well, I thought you would just put it up.
Thank you, John. Hugh Jackman's let himself go.
I know, really. So I caught up with Heretic on HBO Max. I was gonna rent this after you talked about it, Steve, but then I looked and saw that it was coming to Max last Friday, so I just waited. Since this is on Max, and I've mentioned this before, which I don't have upgraded, I did not get 4K or Dolby Atmos or any of that stuff. So I won't speak a whole lot on the theater experience, because this was just a stream for me in 1080p with 5.1 audio. So it was fine. I imagine the disc is loads better. But I did want to mention it because number one, it's the only thing I had for the whole week to talk about. but also because the movie itself, you know, I kind of wanted to get with Steve because, you know, he had some interesting thoughts about it. So my thoughts on the movie is I actually really enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought Hugh Grant was fantastic in this.
You nearly said
You
Hugh
almost
Jackman.
said Jackman,
I almost
didn't
said Hugh Jackman because you have it
Yeah.
in my head. I thought Hugh Grant was great in this. Like he was appropriately creepy. And yeah, I think you mentioned, you know, with like Harrison Ford and these guys coming into some of these roles at a later age, have we missed some really good performances from these guys? And yeah, this was one of the best performances I've ever seen with Hugh Grant. Like he was, again, very appropriately creepy and and disturbing. But yeah, I thought the movie itself, again, I enjoyed it. It definitely went in a direction that I didn't know that it was going to go in. Like I really didn't see the second half coming when I was watching the first half. And I think that's kind of what you were saying too, Steve, is that it's not what I thought it was going to be. But that didn't necessarily take away from me. Like I still enjoyed it. You know, I like where it went. And I thought both of Sophie Thatcher, I can't remember the name of the other actress, they were great as well. Everybody in this, the performances in this were fantastic. I know she's kind of on the rise right now, Sophie Thatcher. She's starting to pop up in a bunch of things, and she's getting a lot of credit. So I think she's somebody that we'll see more of, and hopefully not just in horror movies, because I know she was in, what did I talk about? Maxine a couple weeks ago. She was in Maxine, and I know she's in there's a new movie, Companion or something that she's in that I'm looking forward to seeing. So I think she should be somebody to keep an eye on as well. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was interesting. So.
Yeah, I mean, as I said a few weeks back, I mean, well, just to reassure you, the disc is very nice.
Yeah,
but of course, it's hard to get hold of there, isn't it? Because of it's A24 exclusive or something.
Yeah, it was. I remember it was pricey, right? It was like almost $50.
Crazy. So you can, and I think you said you could import it from the UK and get it cheaper.
Which,
it's crazy in and of itself, isn't it? But it does. No, it looks great, sounds great. All the storms and everything, and all the kind of the movement of the house, as it were. It all sounds great, and it looks good, but it's just not showy. You definitely need the second half. You need your screen calibrated or at least running.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm sure I didn't, you know, again, being 1080p and streaming, I'm sure I didn't get everything that was probably there to be caught.
Yeah,
because there are some dark scenes where, you know, there were probably things lurking that maybe I didn't notice. But so the disc is good and the film is great. As I said, again, to reiterate what I said, I 100% with you. I mean, the monologue he gives about Monopoly, which is the one, DJ, that you're going to, absolutely lose your mind over in terms of the argument, because I love how you always talk about how, look, I'll debate you, no problem. This has a monologue in it that is just mind-blowingly good. And again, Beck & Woods, as Travis says in the chat, Beck & Woods wrote it, directed it, produced it, and then bought their own theater to show it. We know from Carl Ellsworth, who drove across the country to see it with them. And so, but yeah, I think the setup's better than the payoff for me. I think that it does go to a place that's a little bit OTT, and I think where it. And I'm not going to spoil it, but where we get to on it, the point that we reach, and the final verdict on what is going on, it seemed a bit anticlimactic to me.
Yeah, it's a bit on the nose for me as well. It was all a bit like, okay, but it has got some, like I said, some absolutely fantastic performances. And Hugh Grant, I mean, I think he should have been in an Oscar contention for this. I mean,
it was great.
The way it delivers this was just fantastic. So yeah, it does need to be seen by as many people as possible. I mean, I wouldn't leave it to Halloween, DJ. I mean, you could, but it's not that. I'm not even sure I'd call it a horror film.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
It's a thriller. Yeah, a psychological thriller, perhaps more in the vein of Silence of the Lambs than your Stalker Slash. but yeah, and there's definitely a conversation to be had afterwards about what's going on and what they did and didn't know, and certainly about the nature of what Hugh Grant, not Jackman, is talking about. When he
love Hugh Jackman
monologue. Yeah, well,
but yeah, there was some interest. It was very smart. It felt like kind of like you said, it felt too smart in the beginning to end so on the nose, I guess. At the end, you know. But I still, like I said, I still liked it. I did enjoy it. It just wasn't quite where I thought we were heading.
Well, quite. And I agree. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I will see it again, not for a little while, I don't think, because I want to kind of let it ruminate a bit. But it is really good. And again, as Jordan will say in the chat, he hasn't said yet, but he's been DMing me about it after I saw it. The ending does have some ambiguity to it, the very ending, which is welcome. It's always quite nice to have that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you make of it, Deej. I think, again, the monologue delivered in particular is something to be discussed. And I have discussed it with friends who have seen it and been like, oh, I loved it. So yeah, well worth seeing. And you have water, so you've already cha-chunged.
Did he? You've already cha-chunged. Huh?
Oh yeah, cha-chunged
last time
before I'd even seen it. You had it first, Deej, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. So I just went and checked again. I'm like, I already had it cha-chunged. I think that was another movie I said last week. It's like
it might have been something else.
I was like, I read, and it's so
Zodiac you'd already.
Yeah, that's right. It was Zodiac last week, so it's like I'm cha-chunging left and right.
Again, where's DJ? He's in his room cha-chunging.
Okay. Cha-chunging. Yeah, there we go. All right. Oh boy, poor me. All right. All right, Steve, you want to go again since you have so many here, and then I'll go after you, and then we can wrap up with
Yep.
What do you want? What do you got?
Bottom right. Let's go bottom right.
This right here?
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, yeah.
There we go. That sounder. There we go. All right, here we go.
Okie dokie then. So continuing my Neil Marshall appreciation reviews, this is Neil Marshall's Doomsday from 2007, I do believe. Now, fellas, have either of you heard of this, seen this, know anything about Doomsday?
No.
I know. I thought it was the video game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it owes something to that. All right. Okay. Oh, well, good. Okay. Right. So I can whet your appetite on this one then. So this one is on 4K UHD, only DTS HD master audio, I am sorry to say, but upmixed to Neural X. Okay. So as I say, Neil Marshall. Last week we talked about Neil Marshall doing Gladiator. Which was Centurion, and this is Neil Marshall doing John Carpenter, doing Escape from New York, doing ad infinitum, any number of 80s kind of action horror exploitation movies. So the story goes, and actually bearing in mind this was 2007, fellas, the story goes is this: there has been an outbreak, a virus has taken hold in Scotland. We're in Scotland again. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
in Scotland.
Drink bleach, you'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's it.
I do know this movie. I just pulled it up on Kaleidoscape. I recognize that picture of it.
Yeah,
not the one you have here.
Yeah, that's animated menus, guys. So I that as best I could. And there's a reason that I'm surprised neither of you necessarily have seen it or know it. It's got Rona Mitra in it. From Underworld. Whatever the third one was.
Underworld 3?
Yeah, that'll be it. Yeah, makes sense.
Really?
Invisible Man.
Yeah, Rona Mitra. Yeah, so she stars in this. So the story is there's been a viral outbreak in Scotland, and it's killing people left, right, and centre. And the British government decide the only way to deal with this virus isn't a vaccine, isn't to have everybody isolate. They just decide to build a wall and leave them to it. Which is what they do. It's not very caring, but there it is. And so what happens then is we shoot forward then a number of years later to 2035. And what has happened is Britain has been sort of shunned by the world, and Scotland has just been left. And what happens is they become aware that the virus, it's called the Reaper virus, because you've got to have cool names. You can't have COVID-19, right? It's got to have a cool name, right? You've got to have a
Reaper virus.
I can't help but think real life rather let us down. You know, should we not have had a cooler name than COVID-19? Anyway,
we would have taken it more seriously if we did.
Yeah, if it wasn't named after
the Reaper virus.
Yeah, the Reaper virus. Yeah, it's all very cool. So what happens is London, 2035, the Reaper virus suddenly begins to take shape in London. So what do? Now we need to find out what's happened in Scotland, because satellite imagery has shown there are people alive in Scotland. There are fires and flames. So Rhona Mitra.
Oh my.
All right. I think I'm saying her name right. Forgive me if I'm not, right? I think I am saying that right. Rhona Mitra is a sort of crack soldier, right? She is the person you send in. She is Mrs. Snake Plissken, essentially. All right. And without a snake. Anyway, she is sent north of the wall with soldiers and scientists to find out what's going on and bring back the something to help us get over this virus in London. So they sent her north, and wouldn't you know it, it's all gone a bit medieval. Yeah. So this is where we go from Escape from New York into Aliens. So they go in and it's all quiet. And nothing's happening. No one knows what's going on. And when one of them even says, check your corners, right? Which is clearly an Aliens reference. Okay. So check your corners, people. You know, it's Aliens. There's no question about it. And things go wrong and things go awry. And what we have then is it becomes then a movie about Rhona Mitra and others trying to escape from various people and get their way south of the wall. And in London, you've got Bob Hoskins in what must have been one of his last roles with other people. And it's all a bit kind of shady. So it's a very exploitative movie, guys. There's no question. All right. It is. I mean, this was Fury Road before Fury Road. Okay. Obviously after the Mad Max movies, but pre-Fury Road. You've got Mad Max. You've got Escape from New York. You've got Aliens, as I say. You've got Cannibal Holocaust. You've got all these movies chucked in together and a story told on the back of it. And the movie is cheesy. You could call it crap. You can, because it probably is. All right. But I really do have fun with this movie. And this was the film, by the way, when I met Neil Marshall, this was the movie he had coming out. And I had a chance to speak to him about it beforehand. And I remember him saying to me, look, it's a bit Paul Verhoeven and a bit Mad Maxy. And that's kind of what I'm going for. And you can see those influences there. So you would be absolutely right, entirely correct in an opinion to say, what a load of crap. But I have a real soft spot for this, as I do for Escape from New York and all the movies that this is homaging. So it is fun to see. Now, the 4K disc does come with the theatrical cut, which is what you can see in the picture there. There is the unrated cut, which runs 4 or 5 minutes longer, but that's Blu-ray only. So I was not going to that. It is longer. It's a little bit more violent, but there's plenty of violence in this. And so, why buy a 4K disc and watch the Blu-ray? I don't know. So I always will watch the 4K disc. I wish they had one here, but they don't. There's not much you can do about it. I think it's a shout release anyway. There's nothing you can do. You just got to go with it. At least they do give you the Blu-ray as well, although I already had that. So in terms of the video, it's never looked as good as it does now, even though it's schlocky and cheesy and everything else. There is a lot of detail that I hadn't seen before, and I do know this movie fairly well. The opening stuff in the dark, when they first go into Scotland, it's all dark. Again, it's all aliens. Everything's all in shadow. Looks great. And there's lots of detail on it, lots of stuff that you can really kind of, get your teeth into. Pun very much intended after you've seen the film. Okay. So there is, it does look really good. Now, the audio, it's hard to explain. How do I describe the audio? So it's obviously, as I say, DTS HD upmixed to Duralex. Imagine, if you will, gents, every 80s movie you ever saw, action movie you ever saw, okay? Roll that into one, dial it up to 11T stupid, and then just let it run. And that's exactly what you've got here, right? It is constant surround activity. It never stops.
Pacific Rim?
But you see, Pacific Rim's a modern mix where you've got loads of bass and everything. Right. This is all constant surround activity, but with an 80s design. So it's never ultra deep. It's never terribly realistic, but it never stops. So it is, you constantly being invoked. So when cars race around in this, they've got to just go non-stop. You can't just have a little revving engine. Oh, no. You've got to have a huge, just kind of massive engine going. There is needle drops in this. You've got 80 Frankie Goes to Hollywood and kind of all sorts of different needle drops in it. Ridiculous, but they are, and they sound great. And it's always enveloping, but in an 80s way. It's not got like a modern mix, but it's all kinds of fun. And as with both of you, because you've seen all the movies I've been referencing and this movie references, if you've seen those, you'll know what you're in for, but know that it's all the speakers all the time. And it is a lot of fun. I mean, I'm really glad I own this. I'm really glad. I mean, I had to import it. It's not out over here. This was imported from the US, but I had such a good time with it. And again, it is ultra cheesy, but it knows what it's doing, and that is very deliberate. It's a lot of fun. And again, because it's Neil Marshall, and if you guys have seen the movies, this movie has most of the cast of Descent in it. Most of the cast of Dog Soldiers are in this. And as you're watching it, you're like, oh, I remember him from. Oh, that was in that one. And oh, that person got killed in Dog Soldiers that way. So he's got his cast of characters that show up in this. And it's all kinds of fun. So yeah, a lot of people will go, what a load of crap. Okay. And they'd be right. But I'll go, yeah, it's crap, isn't it?
Oh boy.
And I can assure you that's what Neil Marshall would say and accept, and he would not disagree with it in the nicest way.
Yeah, I want to say I may have seen this.
Oh well, I would have thought you had, Deej.
Yeah, I may have seen this, and I might be in that load of crap category. I don't really. I remember, I remember. I'm looking at the poster here that they have. On Kaleidoscape has it in HD. Which is probably, it's still the DTS Master Audio. So yeah, but I think I remember seeing, because it's 08 and I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big of a release it had over there, but it definitely would have been released. I mean, it's not film.
No, I remember the poster. I mean, you'd recognize it. Let me see if I can. I'll pull it up for John. See if he can.
I'm looking at the box cover from Amazon, and I don't recognize.
I think it's new artwork, though. To be fair, fellas, I think it's new art. In fact,
hang on.
It may have reversible artwork on the disc, so I'm just trying to see if. Oh no, it doesn't. Okay, yeah, because that artwork is new. That's new. That's not from the theatrical one. Yeah, so you won't have seen that before.
Is this any better?
Okay, that's the Blu-ray cover.
Yeah, that's the classic one. That's the classic.
It still doesn't look familiar to me.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've seen it, but yeah, that's what they've got on the Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. That's the artwork that Universal did when they released it way back when. But it may be streaming somewhere, John. Again, I'd put it up there with. I mean, it's better than Centurion. It's more fun than Centurion. Right. But you might find that it's streaming somewhere. And again, as with Centurion, if you've got a bit of time and you're in the mood for cheese with a hefty side order of crap, then it's well worth it.
I'll look, because it's pricey to buy. It's $30 for the 4K disc. So
have they gone up in price over there, guys?
Everything's
these prices,
tariffs, man.
Yeah, well,
digital.
Yeah. Well,
the disc though. Yeah,
all the discs are replicated in Mexico.
Oh, right.
So it could be, but it does.
They've been going up since before the tariffs.
No, they've been going.
That
up.
It's
$27 right now. List price $39.98. So.
Man, Steve Att says in the chat that the DVD's got both unrated and theatrical. It has, Steve, but so's the 4K set. You've got the 4K disc is the theatrical. There's a Blu-ray with it, which is the unrated. The Blu-ray that they released ages ago had both on it, which is the one I had. So yeah, 4K is only theatrical, but it's a good enough upgrade to stick with that. You know,
Right.
that's the version to see. I know I always say that, but genuinely it is.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're buying the
you get-
4K, you want to see it in 4K.
Well, and hell, the DVD's $23, so you might as well pay the extra $4 and buy the 4K disc.
Yeah, well, you get the 4K and the Blu-ray as well. Then, so
Yeah.
you know, it's a better prospect. But
And the Blu-ray's
don't-
$30. The Blu-ray's
can't-
more expensive.
I can't, in good conscience, advise you sensibly to spend that kind of money until you've seen it, because you
I'll
might
wait.
be in the crap camp
Yeah.
instead
Oh,
of just being.
I mean, I like
I'm
Dog
crap.
Soldiers though.
It's $14.99 on Kaleidoscape. So
Oh, really?
And is that 4K, Deej?
no HD. Just
Oh,
the
So let me
HD.
spend
This is
$4
the-
grand on a Kaleidoscape so I can spend $15 on this movie. Maybe I'll
You're
be
up
ahead.
Hey, you're a bargain hunter.
Yeah, maybe I'll be ahead.
300 movies later, and
That's
you've
right.
broken even.
Right.
Which I'm way over 300 by now. So,
Yeah.
so there you go.
It's but yeah. So I
Spend
mean,
also more than $4,000. So.
yeah, well, yeah. Watch it cheap. However you see it, watch it
Yeah.
cheap, and then if you like it, buy the disc.
Right.
But you know, as I said, in the right mood with the right frames of reference, which you guys have both got, then you may well find something to remember it by.
Yeah.
But yeah, but be warned.
Yep. All right. I got a couple over here. I saw this earlier. I'll highlight this. Travis in the chat, thank you for reminding me to buy Overlord on Kaleidoscape. One of Mikey Schramm's favorite movies.
That's great.
Overlord. Yeah, great opening. Great, push play
Great
demo.
movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
I don't know about that, but yeah, it's a good movie.
Outrageous.
But then Travis also says later, and check periodically this week, there will be a new T-shirt in T Public.
Yeah.
I need a shirt that says 11 stupid.
Yeah.
So
I can't now. In fairness, I can't claim to have invented
No.
that. There was
no,
a-
I didn't
there's a
say you
critic over
invented
here.
it, but we're
Yeah, no.
definitely like I gotta make a T-shirt with that, and I'll
Yeah.
say that on the back. Like,
There's a critic over here called Mark Kermode who likes to talk about things set to 11 stupid.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's an homage slightly to Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Everything to 11. And so it's 11 stupid is what he says. And I love the phrase. So again, I nicked it. I think really we need to have one that says I'm going ham.
That's
And
right.
just put
Yeah.
that on the shirt.
yeah, going ham.
Don't disturb me. I'm in my theater having a Bavarian arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Rolling
Oh
meatballs.
God. All right, get rid of that one. Rolling meat by the stuff in the cannoli. What else do we got?
I've still got plenty more if you want to do. There's more there.
Yep.
There's more there if you.
I got one that
Remind me,
would
yeah,
be
go on ahead.
funny. This is what happens when it snows in March. Can you see it?
Oh goodness
No, I
gracious
can't-
me!
well, I can't
Mr.
tell
You
what
have
it is.
no idea.
Oh, I've never seen it. I've not seen it.
I didn't know it existed.
This is the film, though, isn't it?
No,
This is the movie with Johnny Knoxville and
no, no.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what this
No.
is.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what
This
I thought.
came
it
out a
was.
year later. This is from 2007. I think it was a made for TV. The only image I could get is this one, and then that the Dukes of Hazzard, the beginning. So it's
Wow.
basically you can rent it for $4. You can buy it for $10.49. This is on Amazon. I got it on iTunes. It was $3.99 or $9.99 on Amazon. I'm sorry, on iTunes, and you get the unrated version. Willie Nelson's in it. He plays Uncle Jesse.
Yeah, that's the movie, isn't it? That's the one.
no.
with Johnny Knoxville, isn't it?
No,
Isn't
no.
Willie Nelson's in the film.
I think, yeah. But this one here is when they first when the Bo and Luke first meet each other.
Oh,
It goes,
prequel.
but what's funny is it goes back in time. So it's the origin story of the Duke boys and Daisy and everything, right? And how they got to be what they were. But it's set in 2007.
Oh,
So it doesn't go back to before the show time period. It goes back to 2007 because everybody in it has cell phones and stuff. They actually make fun of them because they're still using CBs and they don't have a cell phone. They're like, how do you communicate? We use a CB. It is awful.
it's got 4.5 stars, DJ.
Yeah, man.
I loved every second of it.
Okay.
But you're just like, oh my God. But it's like, if you're a fan of like the show, it's great. I mean, you got Daisy starts her origin story. You've got Bo and Luke, and oh my God, everybody, Cooter, Enos, everybody's in it. Howie, I forgot about him. Was it Howie, right?
Oh, Howie, yeah.
Yeah. Boss's nephew, cousin, whatever.
Yeah.
And Boss Hogg is played by what the heck is his name? I don't know. I don't remember his name, but he was the bad guy in Happy Gilmore, the golfer.
Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, Shooter McGavin. That guy. He's like, I crap like you for breakfast.
I
You eat
can't think
crap
of his
for
name.
breakfast.
Yeah, I know who. I know.
Yeah. So he plays Boss Hogg.
Oh, really? That's odd.
Well, he's thinner because this is the origin story.
Oh, okay.
He has it. Yeah.
And taller. Yeah, he's shrunk and got fat.
Yeah. But the General Lee, it's so funny when they find the General Lee. Bo is like, so Luke, you remember the show, Luke was always like the brains and Bo was just fun. Well, they really ramp it up in this one and they find the General Lee. I won't tell you where they find it, but they pull it out and you see the roof of it first. And Bo goes, "It's from the Civil War."
Oh man.
It's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it was so much fun. It's ridiculously bad, but it's so much fun. And the General Lee sounds awesome. The home theater experience is like, it's made for TV. It's like most places, if you can't even buy this on Blu-ray, but you can rent it or own it in HD. The only thing you can buy would be DVD, which isn't even HD, right? So just grab it, rent it if you have to, if you want to, or whatever. But home theater wise, it's like the General Lee sounds awesome. Just the motor, the engine, and everything like that. Other than that, it's even the pictures. Like, it's like a made for TV movie or something. But unrated version is nothing crazy. It's not like you're like, woo. I mean, they ramp up a few scenes and just like they did in the show with Daisy and other characters. But yeah, a lot of fun.
I did think seriously about renting the Sean Scott or Sean William Scott and Johnny Knoxville version this week, and I was like, I think I will because I'd never seen it, and I remember you talking about it, and I thought
it's garbage, but it's fun.
It's the same thing. It's fun.
I went on IMDb and it's 33 out of 100. And I'm just thinking, do you know what? There's too much good stuff on. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I decided
I own it. I own it on disc. It's not. I don't think it's even on Kaleidoscape. It's not. Yeah, I don't think it's even on Kaleidoscape. I think I looked because I would have bought it if they had it in HD. But I have a Blu-ray of it. What's his name? The guy the show that me and the kids loved, Psych. James Roday plays the bad guy in that one. The driver in the movie, and that they had a race against. So, I mean, I love that movie. And the reveal of when the General Lee comes out in that movie is awesome. It's, This one here, it's not so much they just roll it out of a barn like you would expect. And you're like, but it does. It still looks awesome. The car looks awesome. It's dead on. I mean, it is the car. It's 69, Charger. Oh, my God. It's so good. Only one of the doors is welded in this one. They didn't weld the other one yet. And they said, like, this door's stuck. And he's like, well, I want the door open. So the passenger door was open. Luke wanted that. So, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And I started watching this on my laptop. Yeah.
Outrageous.
I was at work on Saturday and it was snowing. And I'm like, all right, let me see. It's like just snow flurries waiting for him to pass. I'm like, what can I do? So I pulled it up and I was like, oh, look at this. Because I was looking at, Dukes after our show, what we're talking about. And I'm like, all right, I didn't even know this existed, so I gave it a shot, and then finished
I've never heard
at
of
home.
It.
Yeah, I hadn't either. So hey, so the more you know, and knowing is half the battle. So there you go. So we got that. So it's 6:43. We ready to wrap up with our controversial?
Sure.
You ready?
We're
gonna be controversial. Here we go. Long time coming. A lot of anticipation on this one. 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, 5 years. And I like how they're starting over. We're talking season 1, episodes 1 and 2 of Daredevil Born Again. And dropped 9 p.m. Eastern time last Tuesday, and every week it is 9 p.m. John, we talked.
Yeah,
about
I was like, because it wasn't available earlier. I did check.
Yeah, every Tuesday 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific. When's it drop over there, Steve?
8 a.m. on the following morning.
Oh,
so
Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah. So we get it at 8 a.m. At least that's what I think it was.
Might be 7 a.m. this week, Steve.
Yeah. Well, I'm not getting up that early to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. The gauntlet has been dropped.
Although, yeah. No. Fine.
Yeah.
So, well, who's going first?
You guys knock yourselves out because I have quite a bit to say about this one.
Yeah. Well, can I? All right. Well,
Go ahead,
Steve At says no spoilers, please.
Yeah, we won't.
I'm going to be. Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that. So I've seen the first 2 episodes, and again, so everyone knows kind of where I'm coming from. I haven't seen season 3, as we talked about a few weeks back. I started watching season 3 actually on the glasses, and was like, okay, yeah, see where it's going, and then I just kind of, tailed off, and I haven't been back to it yet. So I've seen the first 2 ones of this. I preferred episode 2 hugely over episode 1. And again, I'm not going to spoil it, Steve. Don't worry. Steve At I don't like how it starts, because of and what we now know, and again, if you've listened to Batman Beyond this week, you'll know that the opening is a reshoot. I don't like how it starts because I found it to be just off-putting because of the visual effects. The CG was so poor that I was out of it very quickly. And I watched the opening 3 times because I thought, what am I not? What is wrong here? And it was the CG. I did not like that, and that affected the rest of my enjoyment of the first episode. Then we get to the second episode where there's just very little of that. And I thought the second episode was really good. And I enjoyed the second episode. And I like how it ended. And I like where it's going. And I thought episode 2 was great. So that's the first thing. So in terms of the enjoyment of the series, I'm hoping we're going to get more episode 2 and less episode 1. Now, in terms of the home theater experience, of course, again, I don't want to spoil something that happens that made me squeal, at least in episode 1, in the right way. And I nearly texted you, Deej, and said, make sure you haven't got your masking on.
Yeah. No, we could talk about that. Yeah.
Well, but I don't want to spoil it for Steve.
Well, I would say it's not a spoiler. It's actually an alert. Because I think that was one of the things I want to talk about to see if people even noticed. I thought it was so well done, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So something happens very early on anyway, where your attention is drawn to his hearing, and something happens which I suspect is straight out of the comics. So I imagine it looked like it was, but I've never read Daredevil comics, so I don't know. But so anyway, so the video was not great in the first episode again as well. I think that the black levels, it was gray, it was murky, it didn't look good to me. And I think again, second episode fixes that because there's less of it. And what is there then is very sharp, looks great, that's fine. But the opening it was a mistake, I think, just personally. The audio is good though; it's decent for a TV show. It's not movie style. I mean, I wouldn't put this, by the way, even though there's, what was the film, the Daredevil movie was 2003.
Yeah.
I think the 2003 movie sounds better than this, in terms of how it does the stuff. For me personally, I think that this is suffering from either the stream or that it's a TV show, or a bit of both. There's lots going on. I mean, there's plenty going on in the speech, but it never really goes full bore. I don't think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching more of it. I'm definitely on board. I think it's good. I just don't like how it began, and I'm hoping that when we get to where we get to with this, that they will have worked out the issues that we have right at the beginning, because if that is how we then get it later, then for me, then we've got big problems. We can kind of ignore the opening because I know it was a reshoot. I know it's what they added, that initially that was not on camera. All of that happened off camera in the original iteration of this series, and they've gone back and just cobbled it together, and I think you can see that. But I am on board. I am enjoying. I mean, the characters are all great. Everyone knows what they're doing. They're all good. Just that opening for me was like, oh, come on, we don't need this. But that's my personal opinion. Anyway, other opinions are available, and I think you're about to hear some.
Okay,
Yes.
no, I echo almost exactly
Echo. That's
what-
another show.
what you had to say, except
Okay.
the fact that I couldn't put my finger on what bothered me
Mhm.
in the beginning. I just knew that it bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he moved like Daredevil. Like I don't
Mhm.
feel like he.
I
I
think
don't
he
feel
moved
like
like
it
a
was the
person.
same guy that's already done this for 3 seasons. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I thought the very beginning, I was watching it and I was really not. I was put off, but I couldn't figure out exactly why. It's just like he just doesn't feel like he moves the same, he acts the same. And I know it's not necessarily the same show. It's different, different. This
Right.
is Disney, that was Netflix, blah blah blah. But it's all the same actors. Like he knows how to play Daredevil, unless he
Right.
was specifically told to be different. There's no reason for it to be different. Once we got past that and we moved into the story, like it didn't necessarily put me off the rest of episode 1. Like once
Right.
we moved on and we started getting into it, I really enjoyed it. Like I like where the story's going. Again, if you're really into the comics, it's a big departure from that. Even for this storyline that they're sort of going to have, Born Again is a famous Daredevil storyline. And it's playing out, which they always do, but I mean, it's playing out differently. But yeah, once we got going, I really enjoyed it. Again, not to throw too many spoilers, but I wish we got a little bit more Daredevil in our Daredevil show in the first 2 episodes.
Yep.
But
that's
kind of like the
consistent,
Jeff
though.
Goldblum, are we going to have Daredevil in our
Right.
Daredevil show?
But that's consistent with the original, because remember the
it
original,
is,
we had no suit for the
Right.
whole first season.
Right.
We had nothing.
And then, so that's kind of how I felt about the show. And I think that's very on par with what you said. And then as far as, again, the experience, I was a bit let down in that I was hoping for more of C level, like from Apple TV, the show C. I was hoping for more of that kind of presentation, because that was streaming as well, because again, we know it's not disc and we're going to get some limitations, but what Apple TV was able to do with their blind characters and the sound in the world around them, I thought was done better than this was done. I even think Netflix did it better than this was done. So I was a bit let down by that, but the story's engrossing. Like the story's great.
Yes.
And Charlie Cox is great. Vincent D'Onofrio is great. Like they're going to be great. It almost, and then my other just a little kind of pet peeve is it goes back to the Batman thing with the Joker. It's like there's more to Daredevil than Kingpin. Like, can we get a season of Daredevil where it's not all about him and the Kingpin? Because it's always Batman and Joker, and it's always Daredevil and Kingpin, who's not even a Daredevil villain when you go back to the beginning.
He's a Spider-Man villain.
He's a Spider-Man villain, He features prominently in Daredevil comics, don't get me wrong, but there's other ways to go with Daredevil.
So does Spider-Man.
Than just, than just Kingpin. But that being said, he's great as Kingpin, and I'll watch him over and over again. So it doesn't bother me that much, but I kind of hope we go somewhere else along the seasons with Daredevil on Netflix. It's just not all about Kingpin, so
maybe after this season. I like how they're starting over.
Right? Like we only get 2 seasons here. So,
so far, 2 of Born Again. Yeah. And who knows what they call it after that, if they go on from here.
Right.
But it has been Disney's biggest opening of the year.
There's been no peep of it at all, but like, do we think Spider-Man shows up at all before the end of this? Because
he was in Spider-Man.
Yeah. And I mean, those characters cross over a lot in the comics. Like they're
that was a page turner for John and I.
Yeah.
Remember? And what
It
was
was
that run
Daredevil.
called? Zdarsky's run called?
I don't remember, but
I forget what it was called, but it
yeah,
was
but
like
it was
like
Daredevil.
issue 3,
Yeah.
I want to say, right? And it
Yeah.
was like it like literally it was one of those things it like John and I were little kids again. I mean, we were doing the show at the time, but this was one of those where like, did you read it yet? And it's like, yes. Did you turn that page? Yes. And you're like, so the storyline in that particular comic by Zdarsky was like Daredevil was down. He was like dejected, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't know what to do. And he goes back to it. You know, Matt goes back to his apartment. You turn the page and there's Spider-Man. And you're just like, oh my God. Like, and it's like, it's a drawn in guest appearance. And we're like 50-year-old guys, like crying because we're like, oh my God, Spider-Man's here. Like just talking him down off the roof, pun intended. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does show
there's
up
been
here.
I haven't heard a peep of that,
Yeah.
But that would
be awesome.
No Punisher's coming.
They did mention him in the, in the episode.
Yeah,
So,
they did. Yeah.
And yeah, we know for sure Frank Castle's part of, be in this season. That's already been.
I mean, if you have seen the episodes and you want to know more, there's some interesting conjecture on this week's Fat Man Beyond about
which I haven't caught up with yet.
Yeah, where there's some interesting conjecture about where it's going and what we might see next, especially with the end of episode 2. So yeah, I mean, it would blow the internet, wouldn't it, if Spider-Man just turned up in this?
Oh yeah, But there's no reason they can't. I mean, this is full on Marvel.
Characters. Yeah. They've got them all. Yeah.
Got them all. So,
Um,
or at least She-Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see She-Hulk pop up.
Yeah, but this not the
It's
tone
not.
they're
It's a little
going
bit
for,
different tone. It is a different tone for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
I've got my fingers crossed for Spider-Ham. I think it's the only way.
There you go.
Wongers and what was her name? I can't remember what her name was.
So my take,
Madison with 2 N's.
my take, I agree with everything you guys said, except like that opening scene, like you were talking about. I watched on a TV first, right? And I was watching it with a friend of mine, and I didn't like it either. She didn't like it. She was like that. She'd never seen Daredevil, and she's like, "That's awful." I didn't like it, and then she didn't say it till the end of the show. She's like, "That opening was awful." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like it." Like you said, John, the entire episode I thought felt weird, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Like you said, I watched it again. This time I watched it with headphones on a TV with my Bose headphones like Steve's wearing, right? So the sound development was better, but still there was something about it. I was like, I liked the story. I liked everything about it. Like you said, didn't take me out of it, but there was something about that opening and the entire episode that I didn't get. And I was like, I got to watch this downstairs. So I did. I went into the theater, watched it in the theater. And that's when I didn't even notice on the TV, or I watched it twice on TV. I didn't even notice that variable aspect ratio.
Oh, okay.
Didn't even notice it. Watched it in my theater, and I was like, oh my God. I love how they did it, how gradual it was, how like it was part of the story, that part of it. And again, that entire opening scene, like you said, it's like it looked wrong. But in my theater, it played so much better on the giant screen. I could see more. It played nicer. But then as this episode played out, I could put my finger on what it was. And you're right, John, this isn't like the Netflix Daredevil. It wasn't like, Charlie Cox's Daredevil was so well grounded on Netflix. It was so quote unquote realistic. He didn't have he got hurt in the first season. He didn't have a costume in the first. It was so well done up that it was like a reality to you. And here we are in this first episode where it's not that. It was like, wait a minute, he can't move. Like, it didn't seem like that's how Daredevil moves. Like it was like it just didn't seem like the Netflix series. And then the rest of the episode, I felt like the way they were moving the camera, the way they shot this, it felt like and then they didn't do it, but it felt like you had like motion, blurring or whatever you have on your TV on. It just felt like it was shot differently. It wasn't as gritty. It was better. And then once we got used to it, I felt like, and you guys were kind of saying that in your description, is like by the end of it and then the second episode, and now you're into it. And I kind of felt like I do when I watch an older film that's 4K and HDR, and it's a little grainy, but once you get used to it, you're like, oh, okay, it's not the modern. This was so much smoother, is the best way I could put it, compared to the Netflix series, which was so gritty, but it played well because the character was gritty.
Right.
That was part of it. Now the filming is so much smoother. Everything, cinematography is smoother, everything. Even that opening scene that we didn't like, that is a callback to what Daredevil has been famous for, is they do the one shots.
Right.
And that
this wasn't even close. It was an attempt to do it in a really ham-fisted way.
Well, it's kind of how they did 1917. You can see the cuts in there, they're blends, but it's meant to look like a one shot. And that's what they were going for.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But it was no way near as good as like the hallway scene or
the hospital scene. I think it was in season 3 that did the same thing. And
I'm not entirely sure that, and again, I know this isn't true, but I'll be a little bit facetious, but if someone told me that Charlie Cox and whoever the guy was playing the other character, because we're not going to spoil it, were not even there that day, and this entire thing was just created in a computer, I would go, right. Do you know what? That makes perfect sense.
Right.
It looks more of a cartoon,
right,
than a thing. And what it reminded me of most is in Blade 2, there is a fight between Blade and one of the kind of the Reavers, whatever they are, and there's a fight between the two of them in front of this lamp, and it's all CG, and they go back and they go forth, and they look really weird, and it looks animated, and that's exactly to me what this looked like. Nothing's moving the way a real person would move, even if someone were on a wire. I'd have rather had a wire fu version of this, and at least it looked realistic.
Some of it was, but some of it I thought was Jordan saying in the chat, it's a long thing, but he's saying, he goes, the longer the fight went on, that they got more tired, which was realistic because you saw that, and that was the idea. And it's because I remember that I mentioned the hospital one, which I think was from season 3. And you could see when like they'd have a shot of Charlie Cox and it was him in the suit, and he'd like take some punches and then roll off screen. And then you knew it was somebody, a stunt man is coming back in off camera to do a stunt where you couldn't see his face. And now Charlie Cox is moving around the room to come back in on the other side. You could see all of that. This one here, I felt like they did a lot more to mask that stuff, which maybe is why we're like, this is like kind of hokey. But again, I think it's just filmed so much smoother is the best way to put it.
And we got twice the budget, right, that Netflix had.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a super high expensive show for Netflix, I don't think. It's not like they pumped all the money that, so this probably has all of that, which might take away a little bit from the grittiness of it.
Right.
Yeah, I think, again, I don't know for sure, but I do know the opening is a reshoot. That is guaranteed. No question about it. It was not on camera when they shot this. This was told in dialogue. This is now being shown, all right, and that's for sure. However, I think that they've spent a lot of money on this show. I think they didn't have a lot of money to do the reshoots, but they had to do it. And I think you get all this smoke, and you get all this kind of the throwing of the gas, this kind of stuff, smoke and stuff, to cover what is janky special effects, because they didn't have a lot of time to do it. So you get poor CGI, a lot of smoke, and it's trying to hide this stuff. And I don't think it does it very well. It just, if anything, it just shows it up even more.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out further in the season when these scenes were shot on the
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, there is another. There is.
I want to see what it looks like on disc. I'm hoping the disc they'll do something.
I thought as I upgraded the experience, I felt like it was better. Right.
So but I started in my I started on 123 inches. So it's not like I.
Exactly. So maybe I would have had that too if I started in my theater, but I really didn't like it on small screen. on a regular, you know. But then when I went in my theater, I was like, oh my God, I thought it was so much better. It was more palatable, that opening. And then the rest of it was great. And I mean, what's hopeful is there's another fight sequence in episode 2 that's so well choreographed, so much more gritty. It's back. And that one there, I was like, oh, and as soon as that one happened, I was like, all right, Steve's in. Because they got graphic, it's like
but that that's going to have been part of the original filming, isn't it?
Right.
And they didn't have to come back and cobble this together.
That's what I'm saying. So it'd be interesting as we go along to see what was shot first time around, what was added in, and how well it's done. And then hopefully by it's too late. Season 1 is what it is, but hopefully by season 2, they've got it worked out again. Because
let's hope so. I mean, it was, but what a way to start your massive reinvention of Daredevil with this kind of janky, kind of low level, 2000 CGI. It was just like, why?
I don't know why that decision was ever made in the first place to have that beginning told in dialogue. Like, I don't know why that had to even be reshot. That should have been
or shot.
Yeah,
it was never shot. And then it's like, and it was funny because I'm watching that opening sequence and I'm like, I had warned us of this like a couple of weeks ago. I go, this has a chance to be a big disappointment because we've been looking forward to it for so long.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was going to be me.
Yeah,
I'm like, of all people, I'm sitting going, oh no. But I mean, I did like the rest of it. I love the story. The rest of episode 1, because the rest of episode 1 got really slow comparatively, right? Because it was a lot more dialogue, a lot more exposition of where we're going, what's going on, where people are now, where we are, and then obviously it's going to pick up, and it's really disappointing. We're only getting 1 episode this week because you're like, it's not going to be enough. Right. But I mean, Charlie Cox is awesome. I thought the sound was really good. I did. I thought it was better than the Netflix series. Maybe not season 3. Season 3 was in Atmos on Netflix, but better than 1 and 2. Especially that scene we talked about with the variable aspect ratio, the sound, and like there are other parts that are like that where he hones in and they use the room well. So, and this was like, if you remember the Netflix one back in 2015, that was, to me, that was like revolutionary. Like,
and they did seem to use it more. Like it's been a while since I've seen the Netflix versions, but I don't remember him specifically kind of just walking down the street and cocking his head all the time to hear. Like they really played into his hearing, I feel like, more in this go around than they did back with Netflix, which is cool. Yeah. That's definitely Daredevil, I mean, the comics Daredevil is all about.
Well, they went, and I'll tell you on the, if you notice, Steve, on that variable aspect ratio one, they went narrow beyond like CinemaScope. It was like, I'm like, are they going to close this damn thing? Like, and that's how they open the show too. Open it up. The show opens that way, and you're peeking into New York. And then when that does that, it's because the entire show is 135, 235 or whatever, 24, and then it goes up all the way to full 16.9.
Yeah, 69. Yeah.
16.9, but then comes back down to that little, like way past like CinemaScope, like just way down. And you're like, but it's bringing the viewer in, but the sound is also being enhanced in the room too. And it's because it's like he's tuning into stuff. I'm hoping they do it more because I had to take my masking down to see that. And I'm like, you watch the whole series, I'm like, did they just screw with me on one episode?
Well, again, though, it's this opening sequence that may well have been shot, months and months, if not years afterwards. And I wonder if that's this is our opening, a bit like Mandalorian season 2. You get your, you get your crate dragon thing, and up it goes, and you get that for a couple of minutes, and then they forget about it for the rest of the series. Yeah. So you may find that's what they do. But I was disappointed with the audio. I wanted more. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can hear the stuff. I mean, actually, a perfect example is, again, I'm careful about it. So there are some gunshots fired from a distance, which should be up above and way in the background. That's where this should be coming from. Again, I'm choosing my words carefully. And yet I didn't get, from the rear of the room, way above my head. I didn't feel that. I didn't hear it. And I put that back a couple of times because I watched this first, the opening on the glasses. Then I watched it on the iPad, and then I watched it in the cinema room as well. And when I got to the cinema room, I put that back because I thought, does that do it? Does it? And it doesn't. It just comes from the front. And again, that says to me the audio then hasn't really been worked on by someone that wants to give us the full bore Atmos effects. We're just not getting that, and we should, because that should come from right at the back and go right over the front, and it doesn't do that.
And again, and that's his whole thing. I mean, that's right. Daredevil's whole deal is sound.
Right.
So if anything's right, it should be that.
Right. That's what makes the movie so good. Right. The Ben Affleck movie. I love the sound in that movie. They do a really good job of that one. I felt like that one scene we just talked about, the variable aspect ratio, nobody's done it to that degree, not even in the movie. He kind of does it in the bar scene in the movie when he's like on top of the fan.
Yeah, you get the spin.
And he focuses a little bit, but they don't do it to the degree that they did it here. So I'm hoping they do that some more. But
but I mean, I don't hate the series. I just didn't like how it began. I didn't, I'm not out of it by any means, and I'm looking forward to the rest. But
yeah,
it was the
rest of 1 and all of 2 is very hopeful, especially that other sequence is like, oh my God, if we get more fights like that.
I am on board for sure.
Yep. All right, there we go. That's it. Daredevil Born Again. Show title. There we go. Oh, all right, boys. That it? Good?
Yep.
Everybody good?
Mark, say till next week. Yeah.
Yep. Always save until next week. Steve's we said that and take over Tuesday. Steve's always got some extra for us. Always coming in hot. There we go. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. Patreon supporters, I'll be there in a few minutes. And Steve may not. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll pop in for 10
find
minutes
out. Shh, Steve, surprise him. Shh.
Okay, all right. I may not.
I may not. Who knows? But yeah, so, I mean, hey, $1 a month. If everybody listening gave $1 a month, we could all retire, including John. He could actually get a paycheck.
Yeah, I could start getting paid.
Start retiring. There you go. So, but really appreciate that. We've been picking up at least one a week almost since we started our push. So thank you very much for all the responses. Really appreciate it. And that it. That's all we got. All right. All right. Till next time, you know what you got to do.
Go push play.
What he said.
That is right.
Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.